I Dream of Jeannie, a sitcom from the 60s, introduced a new type of love story to television. The main will they or won't they storyline kept viewers in suspense for nearly 5 seasons, with Barbara Eden portraying a 2,000-year-old genie aptly named Genie, who was rescued by US astronaut Tony Nelson, played by Larry Hagman. Despite the show's groundbreaking success, it was not without its flaws. The most notable issue was a single scene that the two leads assumed was to blame for the cancellation. Keep watching to find out what happened in this scene. Following the success of Bewitched, NBC executives conceived of I Dream of Jeannie. They hoped to replicate Bewitched's success and double their earnings from shows about beautiful, magical women. I Dream of Jeannie was an instant success, as expected. The show aired from 1965 to 1970. It received positive feedback and a devoted fan base. It appeared that this show could do no wrong for a while until one episode completely turned the program on. While Genie was technically not a human and Tony was a mere mortal, their potentially doomed relationship created an instant chemistry. Genie's beauty was on display in her well-known pink silk harem pants, and Tony was a handsome bachelor, so their attraction for each other was obvious. When Barbara Eden played Genie in I Dream of Jeannie, she wore some pretty revealing outfits, at least for the 1960s. It was considered extremely inappropriate for a couple to be seen sharing a bed in the 1960s. In many shows, married couples slept in twin beds side by side. To avoid censorship problems, Genie had to be shown leaving the room every time Genie and Tony entered the bedroom together. Most of the time, she exited the room with a pink puff of smoke. Barbara Eden's success in the show is due to her exceptional acting abilities. Barbara Eden's acting was excellent, which is why she was the best choice for the role of Genie. Barbara Eden as Genie was undeniably iconic in the show, and her work was breathtaking. Aside from her character being reduced to a mere blonde in sexy costumes, it is an unfair assessment for a character who carried the entire show on her back for 5 seasons with her comedic wit. Barbara Eden's success was supported by her effortless and good-natured humor, which kept viewers interested. She was one of the few actors in the media at the time who questioned their place in man's world. The apparent servitude to men, criticized by most viewers, was a humorous game she played. It may surprise you to learn that Barbara Eden was pregnant in every episode of I Dream of Jeannie during the first season of the show. During filming, producers devised ingenious ways to hide her pregnant belly. Eden and Hagman had undeniable chemistry throughout the show. While on set, they effortlessly played off of this chemistry, and fans could feel the physical attraction between them. In order to boost viewership for I Dream of Jeannie, NBC's publicity department staged a fake wedding for Eden and Hagman just 1 week before the show's wedding episode was scheduled to air. To make it appear as if Eden and Hagman had a large guest list, TV writers and journalists from across the country were invited to the fake wedding. Eden predicted that the wedding episode would be a disaster and was completely opposed to their characters marrying. First and foremost, Genie was not human. Second, the show revolved entirely around the development of sexual tension between Genie and Tony. All of the tension would dissipate once the couple married. Finally, despite the fact that genies cannot be photographed, a professional photographer was present at the wedding. Fans criticized this publicity stunt. They could tell the wedding was fake, so they turned on the characters and the actors. Shortly after the infamous wedding episode, the show was cancelled. It just ruined the show, Eden claimed in 2015 on the Today Show. Because Genie wasn't human, she thought she was, and Tony knew she wasn't. I think it broke credibility. The sitcom was cancelled at the end of the season, which didn't surprise Hagman, given the low ratings after the main characters married. The actor revealed that a guard on the studio lot informed him of the news. That's the first time I heard about it. Hagman said of the cancellation in a previous interview, "From the guy at the gate, I knew it wasn't going to work once they got us married, and the ratings had dropped steadily since then." Eden and Hagman weren't the only ones who didn't want their characters to walk down that aisle. When NBC executive Mort Werner made the creative decision to marry the two I Dream of Jeannie characters, the show's creator, Sidney Sheldon, disagreed. "That would destroy the show, Mort," Sheldon remembered telling Werner. According to Closer Weekly, the fun of Genie is the sexual tension between Genie and her master. Once you marry them, that's gone. You have nothing to work with. Despite the cast members' and Sheldon's efforts, the network executives refused to budge. The creator of the show blamed the show's demise on that fateful storyline. Mort thought he was smarter than any of them. Said Sheldon of Werner, "I wrote a wedding scene for Genie's 5th year. Their marriage changed their relationship, and much of the fun of the show was lost. I Dream of Jeannie was cancelled at the end of its 5th season. Mort Werner had taken a popular show and ruined it. Regardless, the show greatly impacted both the entertainment industry and society in the 1960s. The show spent a lot of time trying to navigate pre-feminist rumblings while also portraying women in traditional roles. The United States was rampant with revolutionary pop culture and counterculture movements in the 1960s. One way people expressed themselves was through entertainment. The show could only have existed where and when it did during the women's movement. Whether or not Genie's premise is sexist had long been a topic of debate among critics, feminists, and celebrities. Jeannie follows her husband's every command, mirroring what many women at the time did to their husbands. They are submissive to every command issued by their husbands. The majority of the audience, however, thought the show was sexist because of Barbara Eden's role. Furthermore, I Dream of Jeannie culture significantly influenced viewers' negative perceptions of Muslims. In an interview, Barbara Eden stated that the show was never sexist, despite her obedience to Larry Hagman's command. Jeannie is a personification of regressive sexism. Jeannie's submissiveness was due to her genie status. Despite being an empowered character, the show exemplified a woman who was empowered, confident, and in command. Because I Dream of Jeannie was guilty of exoticism, not all critics were correct. Despite active women's movements in the 1960s, I Dream of Jeannie culture falls behind feminist thought. The show has been chastised for portraying Jeannie as a powerful woman who is subservient to an incompetent man. However, that was the current state of affairs. The I Dream of Jeannie culture reflected what was going on in society. I Dream of Jeannie was and continues to be one of syndicated television's most successful and well-liked shows. Despite the fact that it only lasted 5 seasons, I Dream of Jeannie was aired in reruns for years and gained many fans across borders and generations. The show had magic on its side, and the cast had to go through their own real-life experiences. I Dream of Jeannie received a moderate rating during its 5-year run on the NBC network due to frequent time changes. I Dream of Jeannie was cancelled after 139 episodes and made available to independent TV shows in early 1971. This is when the TV show really took off. In the 1970s, the show became one of the most popular syndicated shows. I Dream of Jeannie's success can be attributed to syndication. Leasing broadcast rights to several TV stations increased the show's audience, which greatly contributed to its success in the 1970s. I Dream of Jeannie culture perfectly defined a socially confusing era. The cultural impact of I Dream of Jeannie on people's lives contributed to its success. Many people were influenced by Jeannie's portrayal of non-conforming relationships and undermining the time's suffocating manly and feminine ideas. And that brings us to the end of today's video. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell if you are new to this channel to be notified when we upload more content.